Donald Trump is not backing down from insisting that Hillary Clinton should be in jail for her use of a private email server during her time as Secretary of State. On Face the Nation, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee said he would continue to look into the case even if he wins the presidency, and regardless of whether the current investigation concludes with or without an indictment.
She's guilty, but I would let my attorney general make that determination. Maybe they would disagree, and I would let that person make the determination.
And what for you exactly is she guilty of?
She is guilty of the server. She is guilty of, you look at confidential information. I mean, all of the information that probably has gotten out all over the world. And then, you know what? She's also guilty of stupidity and bad judgment.
But that's not, if that were criminal, we'd all be in jail.
No, I'm not even saying that part is criminal, but she's certainly guilty of that. In terms of this country, she is guilty of having just bad. How could she do a thing like this?
But what gets him to jail, though? What's the difference here between rhetoric and law?
What the lawyers are saying is what she did in terms of national security. They have very strict rules and regulations. She's broken all of them.
So the classification issue.
She's broken all of them. Of course it is. How can a person with this kind of judgment become the president of the United States? Now, think of this. We're in a cyber world. This is a cyber world. This is a very complex, we're in a world like we've never been in before. If we're in a cyber world and she can't even handle her emails, how can she be president?
Here with me are Leslie Sanchez, Republican strategist and CBSN political contributor, and Liz Smith, Democratic strategist and former deputy campaign manager for Martin O'Malley. Hello, ladies. Leslie, let me start with you. What is Donald Trump's plan here? We heard him going after Hillary Clinton again on the email server.
Sure, no doubt. I think he's definitely amplifying the fact that Hillary Clinton is a flawed candidate. There's no doubt about that. Not only in exercising poor judgment here, but there's a long legacy of mistakes and kind of missteps by the Clintons that they're going to continue to frame out through November. The challenge is it's in this loud chamber of all these continuous caustic missteps he makes himself. So this is really an election about the juxtaposition of the two together, a comparison and contrast, but it's hard for him to get his message out. It's a fair point, certainly with all the investigations and waiting to see what the Justice Department does and the FBI does, but it's still kind of lost under the other political cycle.
All right, so Liz, how does Hillary Clinton then push back against this? Donald Trump obviously is not letting up when it comes to this issue.
Well, I think actually the way she's pushing back is not engaging, and I think that's a smart tactic. I mean, he's launched a lot of fairly ridiculous attacks against her this general, I guess, cycle now that we're in, against her husband. I think she's smart not to get in the gutter with him. Look, she has to answer the questions about her emails, no question, but I think it's kind of silly that Donald Trump says that the first things he's going to do as president is relitigate, have his Justice Department relitigate her email scandal. So, but to Leslie's point, I think the bigger issue with Trump are his disqualifying comments about Mexicans, Muslims, all that today.
All right. Well, on Thursday, Hillary Clinton delivered a blistering speech tearing into Donald Trump. Let's take a listen to some of that.
I believe the person the Republicans have nominated for president cannot do the job. Donald Trump's ideas aren't just different, they are dangerously incoherent. They're not even really ideas, just a series of bizarre rants, personal feuds, and outright lies. He is not just unprepared, he is temperamentally unfit to hold an office that requires knowledge, stability, and immense responsibility.
All right, so Liz, let me just get your take on that. I mean, those are pretty forceful words.
Yes, and you know what? I think it's the first time she's really landed a punch on Trump, you know, this cycle. And I think it's because it really taps into something that is true. And I think a lot of people do believe that he is temperamentally unfit to be president. And you saw that again, going back to his earlier comments. You know, the other day he questioned a judge's ability to serve, you know, fairly because he's Mexican. Today he questioned whether a judge can serve based on their religion. And that flies in the face of the American Constitution. You know, Article 6 of the Constitution says that you can't have a litmus test for government employees. So this is a guy who is going out there saying things that fly in the face of what it means to be American, and, you know, also throwing out things like saying certain nations should have nuclear weapons. So it was a very effective attack because it feeds into this perception that he is temperamentally unfit to be president.
All right, so Leslie, against this backdrop, what does Donald Trump need to do between now and the convention, you think? I mean, Judge Curiel, as Liz points out, he's not apologizing for that. He's, in fact, doubling down, as we heard him talk to our John Dickerson on Face the Nation. Judge Curiel, a reminder, he was born in Indiana, right? His parents immigrated from Mexico. This is someone who is a citizen by birth of the United States. He's not showing any kinds of sign, Donald Trump, of backing down from that line.
I don't think anyone is, especially Republicans, are going to come to his defense on that one. Basically, you're saying based on race, gender, or religion, you cannot have judicial impartiality, and that's absolutely ridiculous. That flies in the face very much at this point of the Constitution, of our law, of everything fundamentally that is in our judicial system. So no one's really going to stand by there and then defend that, but that's where the question, it really comes to a core question of this campaign. Is Donald Trump prepared to do the work to be a candidate that can lead the Republican Party and be taken seriously by the rest? I hearken this to Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin came out as this rising star coming out of the Republican convention. Everybody was excited, a governor, good reformer, new energy policy, and she would not do the work to prepare herself for what was ahead. I think she was an ill-prepared candidate. We didn't know that. It was the only time you had President Obama at the time you had Obama really looking at attacking the person who's number 2 on the ticket. That's never happened before. So it changed the dynamics of the election. I think there's a lot of Republicans who feel we cannot be in that situation again. You need a candidate who's qualified, prepared, and ready. I think there's a lot of resonance with Donald Trump and his leadership style, but he has to start taking this campaign seriously.
And I gotta say, I do almost feel bad for the Republicans, because that's going to be a messy convention. I mean, this weekend you had Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, Bob Corker, all these leaders in the party refusing to stand by Donald Trump. So I think it's going to be a really interesting convention.
It's going to be exciting, and you also have this question looming out there whether Hillary Clinton is going to be indicted. So I think between the two of them, it is turning into this real circus for the summer that no one knows what to stand behind.
Plenty to watch on both sides. Duly noted. All right, Leslie Sanchez and Liz Smith, thank you both so much. Appreciate it.